Coming up on the Better Buildings Challenge Swap.
When this was built, they called it the palace for the people. You want to mess with the palace?
We definitely had tension between our own team.
Oh, look, there's an unusually sized door here. Look at this. This looks really old.
All right, let's open the door.
Oh! The city of Atlanta. The city of Boston. Hosted by Maria Vargas from the U.S. Department of Energy. Two energy teams swapped.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having us in Boston, Mayor Walsh. We are excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I want to welcome the team from Atlanta. I'm excited you're here in Boston. You're in front of this beautiful Boston Public Library, and our president, David Leonard's here from the library, so we look forward to having great conversations.
All right.
Communities, cities, local areas are really where energy efficiency happens in this country. And so by focusing on cities and communities, we're able to drive energy efficiency throughout the United States.
It's a different environment. Not only is it a much colder climate, but there are a lot of historic structures here. We're not as used to that in Atlanta.
A little bit of a gift for you. These are Greenovate Boston hats.
Boston
and don't mind the Boston Red Sox logo on the side. You know, you can wear it with pride.
With all due respect, Mayor, here you go.
All right, well, let's head inside. So the city of Boston is one of the most vulnerable cities to the effects of climate change, and over 75% of our emissions come from our buildings.
Energy efficiency is so important for the city of Boston. It's a no-brainer, really. We want to reduce all carbon emissions by the year 2050.
The Central Library at Copley Square is a great example of Boston. We've got the old building that's literally dates back to the 1800s, now finally interconnected to a new building that's built in the 70s. So welcome to Bates Hall at the Boston Public Library. This is one of our historic landmarks here in the city of Boston.
Amazing.
Wicked awesome. The windows are beautiful. You don't want to touch them, they're historic. But they're clearly not energy efficient, so you could do maybe a glass over them on the outside or on the inside just to add that double pane and get some extra insulation. So,
When this was built, they called it the palace for the people.
Oh, wow.
You want to mess with the palace?
just want to let it do its work. We definitely had even some tension between our own team on the historic preservation versus energy and water retrofits.
So this is one of the transition spaces that brings you from the old McKim side of the library over into the Johnson component that has recently been renovated. As you can tell, this space is yet to be touched by the renovations.
It's cold.
Okay.
I bought my white glass.
What are you going to do with that?
She means business.
Certainly they want to illuminate the stacks. They use sensors in those stacks so that they don't have lights on in the stacks unnecessarily either.
But this whole area, natural light is enough.
I would think so.
True.
It's a transitional space, right? You're walking from one room to the next. You don't need overhead lighting. Let's see what else we can find.
See what else is around.
Let's see what we can find.
It's kind of like having someone, going through your room and looking under the bed and checking in the closet. It's definitely a different experience. I want to introduce you guys to Jim Mead, Superintendent of Libraries.
How do you do? Welcome to Boston, folks.
Thank you.
The biggest challenge we have is that we have a 40-year-old mechanical system. The upgrades that we would make from the central mechanical room would impact both the new Johnson Library as well as the old McKim building.
They have a low pressure condensate return, so they use that return water to help with some of the building processes. So it actually reclaims, reuses water to help heat the building.
Oh, look, there's an unusually sized door here. What could that lead us to?
It's Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. No, wait, it's a fan system.
So they had one big fan for the library, and then when they did the upgrades, they changed it out and put in these smaller units that are on variable drives. So that helps to save energy. Plus, if one should go down, they could just change that out at a lower cost, and it doesn't interrupt the ventilation system for the rest of the library. Really smart. Look.
All right, let's open the door. Oh!
Plus, it gives good air here.
Yeah. This is great for a music video.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Cue Duran Duran.
Beyonce uses these, I think.
So we just completed the $78 million renovation of the Central Library. That included several energy efficiency goals, both in terms of lighting use and electricity use, as well as heating and cooling.
Now, I will say there's a breeze. Now, I know we're right in front of the entranceway, but these doors are both opening at the same time.
Yeah.
With this double vestibule, they should be able to take advantage of having 2 sets of doors. So I think it's a matter of the timing.
Just letting that cold air in.
Yeah.
So I'd like to welcome you all to the Joseph Casazza Public Works Facility. It is our main central fleet facility where we maintain and take care of all of our vehicles in the city of Boston, from the fire department to the police department and really every major city department.
Look at this.
Yeah,
This looks really old.
Well, it is old technology. Now, they do need to upgrade their HVAC system, and I bet it's not on VFD, so that might be something we need to look into.
The public has to pay for all this.
Yeah.
That's who we work for. The residents somehow have to find a way to make this a priority.
They're dealing with a lot of the same issues that we deal with in city governments across the country, and we've got to defer some of these improvements we'd really like to see made because of budgetary priorities.
So what'd you think?
There are some things that we think that you could do a bit differently to capitalize on the investments that you've made already.
Great. Well, we're looking forward to your recommendations. I think next up, we're actually going to head upstairs.
So the solar array looks great. I would really like to know what percentage of energy it's displacing for the facility. This is a huge facility. So even though this is a lot of solar panels, I'm thinking it's not a large percentage.
It looks like they missed some spots when they were installing their panels, so that's probably additional opportunity for them.
I think my favorite part was the solar installation on the rooftop because that's something we are implementing in Atlanta. They're further along than we are, so I got to look at what they've done and also look for where I think there are some opportunities to improve.
So we've come to Hyde Park Avenue. It's a major thoroughfare connecting many neighborhoods in the city of Boston. And we wanted to showcase this street because it's showing the 2 different style lights, LED retrofits and our old sodium vapors.
We have 64,000 streetlights in the city of Boston. Since 2010, we've been able to get about 60–70% of them reset into LEDs.
So before we get into the kind of energy aspect of it, we're in a very historic city. What about the fixture itself?
That is a major concern. We want to keep the integrity of the light fixture.
What about smart technology? That's something we're looking at with our LED retrofits, and we're trying to make sure as we're installing, we're using the 7-pin, so we have the capacity to upgrade and add.
With the fixtures that we're going out and installing now, we're moving towards the 5 and 7-pin that would allow us to make those adjustments later on down the road. One thing that we're interested in doing is potential for dimmable fixtures as we piloted in some of the parks around the city where it's not, impacting thoroughfare and traffic.
And how'd you finance?
Using our capital budget to really finance the beginning of it, and also using discounts and...
We got pretty substantial assistance from the utility in Massachusetts, which provides a pretty hefty rebate and incentive for LED fixtures.
So this is a great example where having a state energy efficiency standard has benefited cities, right?
That's
exactly absolutely.
Oh, I wish we had that in Atlanta.
Yep.
One of the things that makes this swap so fun is that it's really about cities and communities exchanging best practices. And so I think there's going to be a lot of learning for a lot of people when it comes to this swap and the lessons that are being learned and shared.
I think a big takeaway is how leadership matters. From a strategy and policy perspective, I have to admit that I'm really jealous of Boston because they have a strong regulatory structure that supports energy efficiency and renewable energy. They have a renewable portfolio standard. They have an energy efficiency standard that's mandated at the state level. That helps drive action at the local level.
What happens in Atlanta affects what happens in Boston, and what happens in Boston affects what happens in Atlanta. So it's important for us to be part of this because I think what can happen here is we can truly raise awareness by having a little fun with it, but also by really discussing this very important issue.
We're really excited to head down to the city of Atlanta and help them out. We've done great work. We've had lots of challenges along the way, so we know where to look, and I'm sure that we're going to find a lot that Atlanta can improve on, despite the great success that they've had there already.
Keisha may have had her gloves for walking through the library today, but when we get down to Atlanta, the gloves are coming off.
Coming up in the next episode.
Hey, you feel that draft?
Wow, yeah.
I wonder if it's supposed to be putting cold air in here in December.
We supply 65% of our service area, and I dare you to find anything in here.
The Atlanta team seemed like they were very, very confident that we weren't going to be able to find much, maybe a little overconfident.
And wow.
Very hot here.
We're gonna need to bring this one up.